According to export.gov, the United States is the third largest trading partner with Argentina. And in the last century, United States companies have maintained sales and manufacturing subsidiaries in Argentina. Welcome, international business professionals. Today we're going to be going over international business in Argentina. With me is a group of international business consultants. My name is Leah Russell. I will be going over restrictions. We have Sophia Ferrari, who will cover culture, Alicia Pressler, who is going into location, and Matthew Benavides, who will be covering economics. Please feel free to address any questions throughout the entire presentation. And now we're going to go into our first topic of culture.
Hi everyone, I'm Sophia Ferrari. I'm from Argentina and I have lived there all my life. So today I will start talking about the culture of Argentina. I will talk about the culture overview first, and then I'm going to discuss business etiquette in Argentina. So regarding language, the official language in Argentina is Spanish, but it's very different from the Spanish spoken in Spain. It sounds more like an Italian in some ways. Other languages that are spoken in Argentina are German, Italian, English of course, and French. Most of businessmen speak English, and some other indigenous languages that are spoken in Argentina are Quechua, Guarani, and Tehuelche. Regarding religion in Argentina, the Argentinian constitution guarantees religious freedom. However, the Roman Catholicism is the official state religion. Regarding some common food in Argentina, Argentinian people are used to eat empanadas, asado, dulce de leche, mate, alfajores, y milanesas. Mate is a very common drink in Argentina that it's made from fusing yerba mate that are like dry tea leaves, and they drink it by using a bombilla that is like a metal straw. It is a very social element. People in Argentina are used to drink it when they are with friends or with family. Regarding sports, according to Euromonitor International, the most popular sport to follow is soccer, which Argentine people call football, and it's followed by tennis, boxing, motor racing, and basketball. Regarding the music and the dance there, the type of music and dance that characterizes Argentina is tango. It was originally influenced by the African culture. The first tangos were played with guitar, with flute, and with accordion, but when the bandoneon arrived to Buenos Aires, it became the center of the tango orchestra. Another important thing about Argentine people is that they are used to consume a lot. They buy a lot of products, and according to La Nación, millions of families choose to spend their money instead of saving or investing it. And this is because of the high rates of inflation that Argentina has. So since money loses value at a rate of 25 to 30% each year, families choose to spend that money. It is also important to know that a large number of Argentine people buy online. According to the Argentine Chamber of Electronic Commerce, e-commerce has increased by more than 50% in the last year. So now moving on to business etiquette, I'm going to start talking about the communication style of Argentine people, and then I'm going to make some recommendations regarding doing business with Argentine people. So Argentine people are very warm people. They are used to maintain little space, physical space between while talking. Above all, Argentinians like to do business with people that they know and they trust, and they prefer to do business by face-to-face meetings rather than by telephone, which is seen So Argentine people, when they have like already established relationship, they're going to be loyal to you and not to the company that you represent. When having a business meeting, you should, first of all, you should give a standard handshake. You should maintain eye contact, which is very important because it shows respect and interest. And you should also give a welcoming smile. You shouldn't immediately start talking about business because small talks help to establish a connection with Argentine people. And it is important for you to know that you should avoid confrontation. According to America Infobae, Argentine people don't like to admit they are wrong in public or that they are incorrect. It is important that you show respect to those people in positions of authority. But however, if you're dealing with someone that has the same level of authority than you, the communication can be more informal. Appointments are necessary and they should be made about 1 to 2 weeks in advance. And it is important for you to know that in January, February, and the middle weeks of July, it's Argentinians' holidays. You should have printed material in both languages, in English and Spanish, and you should know that decisions are not reached at meetings. Meetings are only for discussions and to exchange ideas. Finally, when you leave, you should give a handshake to everyone and you should say goodbye to each person individually. So to conclude, I have talked about a culture overview of Argentina and I have explained some aspects of the business etiquette. Now we are going to move on to locations.
Hi, my name is Alicia, as I said, and I will be discussing location. Excuse me, I've been with the company for about 3 years now. I have a specialty in location. I will be discussing 3 different cities, the first of which will be Buenos Aires. And within each city, I will discuss the local industries, some of the way that the weather is, as well as transportation. The next city I'll also be talking about is Rosario, as well as Cordoba. So to begin, Buenos Aires. It is the capital of Argentina, and it is one of Argentina's #1 business destinations. So as far as industries go, chemical, mining, automobile, banking, and agriculture are some of the top ones. The top companies are the top businesses that are prevalent in Buenos Aires. As far as the weather, the winter is relatively cool. I mean, it's about 30 degrees is probably the lowest that it goes, and 55 is maybe about the hottest that it would get during the winter, degrees Fahrenheit. The summer usually doesn't go below 65, but usually doesn't exceed about 90 degrees, so it's a lot cooler than our summers here in Texas. Transportation, there's many different ways to get around, as well, like to get into the city as well as around in the city. There's air transportation, there's an airport. As far as international flights, where the planes land is about 40 minutes from downtown, and for domestic flights it's about 10 minutes. There's, just like how there are here, there's taxis, there are those subways and trains. The subways, they say, are very safe, as well as fast and punctual. Next we'll go to Rosario. It is on the Parana River, which is about 190 miles northwest of Buenos Aires. Excuse me, it's also the 3rd largest city in Argentina, and is the 2nd most important organizer for conferences, seminars, and different events within Argentina. So the industries, again, agriculture is a very large one. Textile, automotive again, machinery, iron, and steel are some of the top ones. Again, their weather is relatively mild. It's cooler than ours. The winters here are about 41 degrees, or a little bit warmer, and 61 is the highest it would go. The summers again don't exceed 90 degrees. Transportation, they have one airport there, but it has several airlines that go to this airport. There's also the buses, trains, piers, and then there's trolley buses, which is kind of like how we have in San Francisco, that goes through the city. What's very interesting about this is that Rosario is one of the 3 cities in Argentina that has them. So they're very rare and it's nice for them to have it. Next, we will go on to Cordoba. According to export.gov, it is the geographical heart of Argentina. It's about 440 miles from Buenos Aires, and it's the 2nd largest city, and it's also the technological center of Argentina. Industries, again, automobile is a big one. The railroad and aircraft making industries are very prevalent there now. They began around World War II, so they're more recent industries. They also do apparel and industrial and agricultural machinery. So again, agriculture is very large within this city as well. The weather, interestingly enough, it's reversed to how our city, like how our summers and winters are. January is their hottest month, and July is their coldest. Their transportation, they also have trains, they have river routes, several air connections, and then they have highways that connect to different places within the city as well as out of the city and internationally. They are the 2nd of the 3 cities that have the trolley buses within Argentina. So to conclude, today I spoke to you guys about the 3 different cities, Buenos Aires, Cordoba, and Rosario. And within each of these cities I discussed the weather and how it's kind of opposite of ours, the transportation within the country as well as outside of it, and some of the local major industries such as agriculture, how it's very prevalent. So now we're going to move on to economics.
Hello, my name is Matthew Benavides, and thank you all for being here once again. Today I'm going to be discussing economics, and I have been with this group for a little under 5 years now, and I also have an MBA from the University of California at Berkeley. I'm going to be going over the economics in 3 main points. My first point being a general overview of the economy, my second point the currency, and my third point is going to be detailed information on the GDP. Moving on to my first point, the economic overview. 100 years ago, the economy of Argentina was one of the strongest in the world, but during the 20th century they did go through some hard times with high inflation rates, economic deficits, also external debts, and much more. And that brings the numbers to where they are today. The budget is $105.8 billion, and their expenditures actually exceed that at $113.3 billion. Also, the exports account for $84.32 billion, and their imports are at $70.7 billion. And like I said before, inflation rates were high, and they're still pretty high right now. They are 22%, and the market value of shares in the country are at $43.848 billion. Also, the industrial production growth rate is at 6.5%. Now moving on to my second point, the currency. The currency they use in Argentina is the Argentinian peso. It's often denoted as the ARS. And like I said, 100 years ago, the ARS was also really strong, but during the 20th century, along with the economy, it struggled. And now it's worth 4.85. One Argentinian peso, or $1 US is worth 4.85 Argentinian pesos. So there's a big difference right there. And the inflation is also at 9.8%. Moving on to the GDP. The GDP is worth 445.99 billion US dollars, but the growth rate is actually really high. It's at 8.9%. And as you can see by this graph, over the last 10 years, the GDP has increased significantly. So it went from about $102 billion to $445.99 billion US dollars. So that's over a 400% increase in 10 years. Also, the public debt is at 41.7%. The per capita is at 8.9%. Investment does account for 22.6% of the GDP. And the consumption by different industries are services, which account for 58.2%, the industry, which is account for 31.1%, and also the agriculture, it's pretty big, so it's 10.7%. Now we're going to be looking at the restrictions of Argentina.
As I stated before, my name is Aaliyah Russell. I'm an international business owner. Today I'm going to go into restrictions on imports, restrictions on exports, and some foreign exchange restrictions. So let's first cover restrictions on imports. According to export.gov, as of February 2012, Argentina implemented a regime so that all imports are required to request approval from the Argentina Tax and Customs Authority before conducting business in Argentina. According to LexisNexis, as of July 2012, the accumulated surplus is at $8.3 billion due to more flexible import policies. According to countryreports.org, I'm going to explain something to you really quick. I forgot that the Argentine government is trying to improve the economy with more flexible import policies. However, older restrictions are still having a negative impact on the economy. And one of these older restrictions is import substitution industrialization. And according to countryreports.org, it's an economic development strategy for the growth of domestic industries by restricting importation of specific manufactured goods into the company. I'm going to go into some export restrictions. According to exportcontrol.org, the Republic of Argentina is the only country in Latin America to be a member of all international export control regimes. And, Argentina strongly believes that for an effective export control system, they must rely on these 4 restrictions, which are the transparent and standardized national licensing systems, the enforcement of national controls, the enterprise awareness and cooperation of the other regions of the country. Now I'm going to go into some limitations on foreign exchange. And according to export.gov, some recently implemented foreign exchange restrictions have increased tax collection to 28% as of July 2012. Restrictions and regulations vary depending on what type of product or service you have to offer. And according to Bloomberg.com, foreign exchange restrictions have been implemented to improve transparency on combat money laundering within Argentina. However, as an unfortunate result to these new restrictions, there has been a decline in economic growth within Argentina, as well as a decline in foreign exchange direct investments. So I covered with you some newly implemented restrictions on imports and exports, along with some foreign exchange restrictions. With that being said, I'm going to do a recap on the overall presentation. We had Sophia Ferrari, who covered culture, and she strongly encouraged for you to schedule face-to-face meetings while conducting business in Argentina. Alicia Pressler covered the location, and she informed us that due to the location, that agriculture is the most prevalent industry in Argentina. Matthew Benavides covered economics, and he informed us that the GDP has increased by 400% since 2002, and myself, Aaliyah Russell, I went over the restrictions, and I would strongly suggest you do research in on the new restrictions on imports and exports, along with the new foreign exchange policies before conducting business in Argentina. Now this concludes our presentation, and I would like to thank you all for attending today, and I'm going to open the floor for any questions.